Bart traveled back to 1974 and split up his parents. He didn't realize he'd come back as the son of a rich man. He also knocked over multiple versions of Homer with his dad. Bart traveled to 1974 in a time machine. All he wanted was to buy a cheap comic book, but he found a young Homer by accident and, true to form, Homer likes to choke Bart. Then young Marge arrived. Homer fell in love with her at first sight, but Marge doesn't like Homer. Bart realized that if Homer and Marge didn't love each other, then maybe he could be reincarnated. For the sake of his own happiness, Bart told Marge not to marry Homer. Marge agreed. Bart then took a time ride back to reality. What he didn't know was that Homer had quietly followed him and made contact with the current Homer. When Bart returned home, he noticed a change in his family. Andy himself had changed. Nelson had become his servant. He could bully Nelson all he wanted. At that moment, Homer came to the house. He led a group of Homers from different eras into a duel. Bart and his father were not to be outdone. The two of them quickly beat them down. Hearing the commotion, Marge came out. She saw the many identical faces and realized she'd married the wrong man. She was supposed to be in love with the stupid Homer. In the end, she and the Homers started a family. What happens when Homer becomes an inventor? He'll invent the electric hammer. When he hammers a nail, it breaks the wall and he can't control it. He'll also invent the normal alarm. It goes off every 3 seconds and only stops when there's an accident.
Turn it off, Homer!
It can't be turned off!
And then the automatic makeup gun. He'll shoot it at Marge. He'd bring out a mirror so Marge could see the makeup. And finally, the sofa toilet. Bart tried to sit on it, but Marge stopped him. He heard Marge's comment and left.
Do you mind?
At dinner, he was still sad. When he was about to fall, the 2 pillars on the chair kept him from falling. He was praised by his family for his invention. Homer carried away the chair and the food. When he showed Edison his chair invention, it all started when Homer thought his life was a failure. Fantasized about his future funeral. He was pushed into the ground and buried at random and his body torn apart by dogs. He lay down on his bed in sadness. The next day, Bart was running on the globe. Homer read in the library. He made a chart comparing his inventions with Edison's. He decided to become an inventor. He thought over and over again in different positions, but he still had no idea. He fell out of his chair. He starts doing calculations, tapping away. He puts on a fire helmet. He fails. He kept calculating and improving. He showed his invention to his family. What will Burns do when Homer becomes president of the Union? He'll fly Homer home in a helicopter. Burns will fall out of the plane, be put on a stretcher and pulled away in a helicopter. When the employees went on strike, he would need to sit and listen to Abe tell stories. He opens the sluice gate intending to threaten the employees, but gets carried around by the hose. He decides to take Smith with him to operate the nuclear plant, teasing the mutant dog in the operations room. Smith opens a robot employee and is chased. Burns passes through layers of defense mechanisms to get to the control room at the heart of the plant, pushes a button that shuts down the power to Springfield, finally signs a contract with Homer to buy dental insurance for his employees. Homer was spinning in circles. It all started when Burns canceled the dental insurance for the employees at the plant. Homer wants to reimburse Lisa for her dental expenses, tore up the contract, and for that, Homer became president of the Union. He's fantasizing about the special donuts he'll get when he becomes president. Next thing you know, Burns finds him and tries to seduce him. He refused. The mob came to the door and dragged him to Burns' house. Burns shows him the big TV and the working monkeys. When he sat down to negotiate with Homer, Homer drank too much beer and went to the bathroom. Burns flew him home in a helicopter.